Pulling that leg in for a stretch, your shoulders are shrugging down. Focus on the deep breath up high in the rib cage. Holding on to the strap, the leg, the ring, whatever you have to pull that leg out to the side. Open up the hip. Now the lower leg that's on the ground, still lengthen it too. Reaching out of the hip. If this bothers the low back, you can always keep that lower leg bent. It does kind of help you feel a little bit more stable if the leg is bent. But either one is fine. When you're ready, you're going to bring it back up to the ceiling and then cross over that center line, but you're still trying to pull the foot towards your shoulder. Keep the leg longer, straighter. With each exhale, try to pull it in a little deeper. Still draw the navel in. When you bring the leg back to center, we'll do the same stretch on the other leg. Try to pull it in on every exhale. Remember, with Pilates, the breath stays up high in the rib cage while you're hollowing out the abdomen. Remember to not grip up into your neck. Your shoulders are shrugging down. Now hold on as you drop the leg out to the side, opening up the hip. Both legs are still long and straight. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Try to deepen the stretch a little more if you can. When you're ready, you're going to bring it up and then cross over the center line. Keep the hip on the floor and try to bring that foot towards the shoulder. Keeping the leg long and straight. Pulling it in a little deeper on every exhale. When you bring the leg right back to center, you're going to have both feet on the floor and hold the ring in your hand if you have it. If you have a ball, you can squeeze the ball, or you can just do reaching arms. Another option is to do the weights or pull a band apart. I'm just going to squeeze the ring, and we're only moving the shoulder blades. So shoulder blades pull together in the upper back, keeping the arms straight, and then shoulder blades spread apart in the upper back. So if you have that band in your hand, try to start with the grip close together on the band and pull apart as hard as you can. If you have the ball or the ring, squeeze it a little tighter. Pull the belly in deeper, so a long line through your spine. And really with the low back here, we're just trying to keep neutral. You don't have to focus on imprint or arching, just whatever feels comfortable with the low back. Now pull the shoulder blades together, pinching towards your spine, and slide the shoulders down out of the ears. We're going to add some flexion to the upper spine. You're going to curl up, look into the belly, and then rest head and shoulders right back down to the floor. Exhale as you curl up, drawing the navel in, and then resting back down. Always think pulling up on the pelvic floor, reaching long arms too, and rest. Do one more curl up, and we're just going to hold it while you're curled up. Stay there, pulling the belly in, pull up on the pelvic floor. If you have that ring or ball, squeeze it a little tighter, curl up a little bit higher, and then you can rest on head and shoulders. Now we're going to do that same flexion with the legs at tabletop. The legs are going to come up to tabletop, keep them bent 90 degrees. The knees can squeeze together if you want to think about the inner thighs working harder. You could move the ball between the knees if you really want to make the inner thighs work harder. But curl up, look into the belly, and stay there. And now we're only going to move through the hips doing our toe taps. So both legs lower, both legs left. If this feels a little too challenging, you could do an alternating single leg if you wanted to, while you maintain the flexion, staying curled up, looking into the belly. If you can't, keep those legs glued together, lowering and lifting, only hinging at the hips. So keep the knee joints stable. Keep those arms long. You want that feeling pulling bottom ribs towards your hips. Now when you're ready, you're going to lower the feet towards the floor, but not letting them rest completely. So get the feet real close to the mat, squeeze the ring tighter, curl up higher if you can, pull the belly in, and then you can rest everything back down. So keep your ring or ball, whatever you have. We're going to just drop your knees to one side for a little spine twist. You can relax the arms, just keep your prop with you. And then we'll drop the knees up and over to the other side for the twist. We're going to go into the 100 next. So if you have that ball, you could put it between the ankles. You could put the ring between the ankles. If you wanted to, you could loop the band and tie it around your ankles and work your abductors, the outer thighs. But curl up, look into the belly, lengthen those arms long, lengthen the legs out to straight, squeeze as tight as possible, making those inner thighs work hard, and start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Remember, those arms are long, strong, reaching to the bottom edge of the mat like you're trying to touch it. Thinking longer arms reaching out of the shoulders, longer legs reaching out of the hips. Squeeze that ring tighter if you have it. Make those inner thighs work harder. Try to get the legs a little bit lower if you can. And remember, the breath is up high in the ribcage still, so as you're inhaling, the abdomen is still tight and pulled in. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5. This is our last 10 count. After you exhale, hold everything still, curl up higher, and then you can rest back down. Now grab onto the ring or the ball, whatever you have. If you want, you can use weights in your hands, the water bottles or the balls or weights. Arms are straight to the ceiling. We're gonna do our roll up. So legs hopefully stay straight down onto the floor. Head and shoulders are gonna come up and you're gonna come all the way over the legs and stretch. Stack your spine up to straight and then roll back down to the floor, one vertebrae down at a time. Remember, you can always modify this if you need to by holding onto the back of the legs as you come up off the floor, or you can start from seated, make your way down before you feel like you're gonna fall, you come back up and stretch out over the legs. Stacking back up before you roll all the way back down to the floor. If you have that ring or ball, squeeze it a little tighter. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. A little trick, if you do this with weights in your hands, it makes the roll-up part a lot easier, having the weight outward over the legs to bring yourself up off the floor and stretch. So if you felt like trying that, you could. The next time you come up after this roll-up, we're all gonna stay up and stretch forward over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight, grow tall and hold it. So whatever's in your hands, you can keep it. Still grow tall and straight, reaching up through the top of the head. Squeeze the legs together. We're gonna rotate from side to side. So twist, reach the arm back behind you if your arms are free, but if you have that ring, just keep squeezing and twisting. Exhale when you twist, inhale, face front. As you're rotating, then bringing the air out of the lungs, your legs long and straight, squeezing together. Always try and improve your posture, so grow taller. Hollow out the abdomen. Finish up this last set of the rotation, and then we're gonna do the slowest roll down to the floor. So tuck the tailbone and fall down just a little bit, and we're gonna hang out here and hold it. Think about scooping your abs, pulling the belly in, your shoulders shrug down, fall down a little bit lower if you can, and just hold it. Really think tilted pelvis, laying that lumbar spine down, reaching longer arms, and then keep going all the way down to the floor. Eventually you can rest down your shoulders and your head, and then you get a rest. You can get rid of the ring, but if you have the ball, feel free to use the ball between your knees, because we're gonna do bridging. Your knees are bent, but your feet flat. Hands are down by your side. If you have the ball between your knees, squeeze it tighter, rock your pelvis back, and then lift your hips up. Hold the hips up high, press the arms into the floor, take a deep breath at the top, and then slowly roll back down, one vertebrae down at a time. Take a deep breath while you're on the floor, and then exhale, lift the hips. Hold the hips up high, and then slowly rolling back down. The next one, we're gonna lift the hips up and stay up there. Lift into the bridge, hold, kick one leg to the ceiling, lower down, kick the other leg to the ceiling, and lower down. Still pulling the belly in, pressing the back of the arms down into the floor. Good, as that one leg is reaching to the ceiling. So I saw a ball go flying. I totally forgot that some of you guys are working with the ball. So actually it falls out. So hold with both feet on the floor, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine all the way back down into your rest. We're gonna do it again, so don't bother putting the ball there. Take a deep breath, lift the hips up, hold the hips up high, kick one leg to the ceiling and keep it there. So keep that leg long and straight. Lower it down halfway, lift it back up. Lower and lift. Keeping the hips up. You are trying to keep your pelvis level too. Do one more lower and lift. Rest on the foot. Keep the hips elevated, switching legs to the other side. So now legs stay straight as you lower and lift. Just hinging through the hip, keeping the hips lifted high off the floor. Do your last lower and lift to the kicking leg. Rest the foot to the floor, and then slowly roll your spine right back down into your rest. Good. Cross one ankle over the opposite knee. and then pull it into your chest for a stretch. Do that same stretch on the other side, pulling it in. Now we're gonna go into some circles. So one leg is straight down onto the floor, opposite leg reaches straight to the ceiling, either leg. So the lower leg that's on the floor is still a tight, strong working leg. If it feels better, you can always bend it. The straight leg to the ceiling is gonna start a circle. And you could draw really small circles or really big ones. But the goal is to keep the pelvis stable and not change your hips. You don't want them to be tipping, rocking, holding the belly in, press the arms down to the floor, lengthen the back of the neck. Inhaling as you start, exhale as you finish. You do your last one, and when you bring that leg to the ceiling, you're gonna hold it, flex both feet and go in the opposite direction. Roll into the hip. Keep that circling leg long and straight. Reaching out to the heel, just adds to the coordination. Should feel a deeper stretch in the back of the leg as you're reaching out to the heel. Do your last circle. When you bring that leg to the ceiling, grab on and pull it in for a stretch. We're gonna do the same circle set on the other side. So reaching to the toes. Remember the leg that's on the floor can stay bent if you need to. These could be real small circles or really big ones. But draw that circle with the pattern of the breath and maintain pelvic stability here. So your hip bones stay facing the ceiling the whole time. Keep taking the deep breath up high in the rib cage. Keep your arms strong, pressing into the floor. When you bring that leg to the ceiling, pause just so you can flex both feet, and then you reverse in the direction. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Still narrowing the waistline. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Don't let that lower leg get lazy. Your last circle. When you bring it up, grab on and pull it in for a stretch. Now bring both legs to tabletop. We're gonna go into the ab series here. The legs start off at tabletop. Remember, you could do this whole series with your head and shoulders on the floor. But if you can, curl up, look into the belly, hug one knee in, opposite leg goes out to straight, and then you switch. Think force in there out of the lungs as you lengthen that leg long, reaching out of the hip. Good, just hug that knee into your chest. Do your last one on each side, then bring both legs together and glue them together. As an extra challenge, if you have those weights near you, grab onto them, your hands on the outside of the legs. Stay curled up if you can. As your legs extend forward, arms go back, and then you come right back into your little ball. Open up on the inhale, come back to center, the little ball on the exhale. Remember to keep those legs glued together. That's good. As your arms reach forward, your arms reach back, legs reach forward. Gluing the inner thighs together, pull up on the pelvic floor, squeeze the glutes. Just do your last two. After you come back into that little ball, you can get rid of those weights if you have it, because we're doing scissor kicks. One leg goes to the ceiling, grab on, opposite leg falls to the floor, and then you switch. Keep those legs long and straight the whole time. Try not to grip into your neck. If you can deepen the stretch, reach out through the heels. That's good. Stay curled up, keeping chin to your chest, watching your abs stay tight and pulled in. Just do your last scissor set. Bring both legs together at the ceiling and point the feet. Rest down head and shoulders to the floor. Even press your arms into the mat. And both legs are gonna lower and lift. Now as you're hinging through the hips on this one, try not to change the position of your lumbar spine or the pelvis. Keep your arms strong, press into the mat. Lower on the inhale, lifting the back up on the exhale. You have your last two. Squeeze the inner thighs together, squeeze the glutes. Don't grip into your neck. Now bend the legs to tabletop. Bring your fingers laced together behind your head and curl up, look into the belly. We start our crisscross. So twist towards the bent leg, reaching opposite leg long and straight. Exhaling on that rotation. Reach out through the toes too. Make sure you give yourself enough time to fully extend that leg outward to straight. Making those obliques work hard as you twist. Keep shoulders shrugging down. Now twist to one side and let's hold it. Stay there, keep elbows wide, curl up higher, pull the belly in. We'll go to the other side and hold it. Curl up a little bit higher, keep elbows wide, shoulders down, and you come back to center and then rest. Lengthen your legs down onto the floor, reach your arms way back overhead and stretch. Just breathing. Now we're gonna bring your hands back down by your side, and we're gonna go into roll over. Roll over is the one where we bring our legs overhead. So if you need to modify this, you could always put a roller or the ball underneath your hips, but I'll give you another modification. If you don't have those, we could just start with legs straight to the ceiling and do a little tiny lift. Hips lifting, hips lowering. So the other modification is to bridge up, put that roller or ball underneath your hips, and then let those legs fall towards your face. If you don't need either of those modifications, we're going to the full. Legs are long and straight overhead. Make sure there's nothing behind you to kick. As you bring your legs all the way over, knees in front of your face, keeping those legs long and straight. Roll all the way back down until you rest. Keeping head and shoulders on the floor. Now exhale as you get those legs overhead. Hold the legs overhead on your inhale. Squeeze the inner thighs together. And then slowly rolling back down into your rest. We'll do one more. Legs overhead. Squeeze the inner thighs together. And then slowly rolling down, keeping head and shoulders on the floor. After those legs are back down, we're gonna grab on, you can rest your feet down to the floor. We're gonna grab onto the ring or the ball, and we're gonna come over onto our side to do our side leg series. So when you roll to your side, prop yourself up onto your elbow, but you always have the option of going all the way down to the floor if you don't wanna prop yourself up. Your legs are slightly forward at an angle to help with balance. But you can give yourself that extra challenge of drawing the legs back if you want. Narrow the waistline, pull the belly in, press into that ball or ring, and we're gonna lift and lower the top leg. Point as you lift, flex as you lower. That's good. I know some are doing that extra hard challenge of propping yourself up onto the elbow with no hand on the floor. Narrowing the waistline, so it's even harder. Shoulders shrug down. But I know it's so hard not to grip into your neck on this one. Keep that lower leg a tight, strong working leg. Imagine you're wearing that tight corset around your waist. Let's lift the leg at hip height and keep it there and just draw small circles. Keep that lower leg tight and strong. Reach out of the hip too. If you have that ball or ring in front of you, press harder into it. Now flex that top foot and go in a circle in the opposite direction. Still focus on the deep breath up high in the rib cage, forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs on the exhale. Keep the foot flexed, keep the leg at hip height, and then you're gonna swing forward and back to really challenge the balance. Try not to let the upper body sway, so no movement there. That lower leg is still a tight, strong working leg. Hopefully feel the stretch in the back side of the leg when you kick forward. Squeeze the glutes and you kick back. Use my roller. We'll do one more. After you bring those legs right back to center, lay all the way down to the floor. So we are using that lower arm for neck support. You do want to draw those legs back if they were forward. And you can keep pressing into the ring, the ball, the floor. Otherwise, challenge your balance if you can. Bring the top arm over your body. You're going to lift both legs and lower. Lifting and lowering. Glue the inner thighs together. If you have that ball between your ankles, just squeeze it tighter. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. So we're trying not to move the upper body as you're just lifting and lowering the legs. Now lift and hold the legs up. Now you could just stay here and hold, especially if you have that ring of the ball between your ankles, but we're just gonna move the top leg if you can't. Top leg goes up and down. Don't let the lower leg fall. Pull the belly in deeper. Reaching out through the toes for longer legs. Now hold the legs together. Don't hold here. Don't let them fall just yet. The lower leg is going to go down. Lower leg comes back up. Don't move this top leg. Still working on our balance here too. If the hand is over your hip, we're trying so hard not to wobble or tip over. Now lift both legs and hold. Squeeze them together. Still breathe. And then you can rest. Now as you transition, we're just going to roll onto our belly. So just roll to your belly and stay here. Your hands are right underneath your forehead, so you have neck support. Both legs are going to lift off the floor and then drop back down. Both legs lift and lower. As you're lifting and lowering the legs, pull the belly in, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Now lift and hold, and now the legs are going to do little beats, tapping the heels together, still breathing. Focus on the breath up high in the rib cage. Lift the legs a little higher. And then you can relax the legs. Now continue the roll so that we end up on our other side, just because I need to watch, I swing around. But if you want, since you know what we're doing, just roll onto your other side and then we'll start the whole leg series on this side. You're gonna point as you lift, flex as you lower. So we have a couple options here. You could prop yourself up under your elbow with the wrist down. If this bothers the shoulder, you can go all the way down to the floor. Or your hardest version is the elbow balance and hand behind the head. Pointing and flexing, hollow out the abdomen, shoulders still shrug down out of the ears. Don't let that lower leg get lazy. It's still a working leg. Now point the foot, lift the leg at hip height and draw small circles. Constantly doing that full body scan thing, but every muscle group is working hard. Tell your upper back to work hard to slide the shoulder blades down towards your hips. Lengthening your spine a little more. Even reaching out of the hip of that circling leg. You're going to flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Okay, that lower leg is your anchor. Pull the belly in a little deeper. Always pulling up on the pelvic floor. Now hold that lifted leg stationary. Keep the foot flexed as we're swinging it forward and back. Try not to move anything in your body except for that top leg. That lower leg is considered an anchor, gluing you to the floor. So focus on the breath. Hopefully you get a stretch in the back side of the leg when you kick forward. Flexing the foot will help deepen that. We'll do one more forward kick. Finish with that kick back. And then when your legs are together, we're gonna hold them together. Line yourself up down the center of your mat and lay all the way down. So the top hand can be on the floor, you can hold your ring or ball. If you can, take it over the hip and you're gonna lift both legs and lower. Lift and lower. Squeezing the inner thighs together. And you always have the option to put that ball between your ankles for this one if you want. It'll just fall out when we do the single lifts. Still making the upper back work hard, pulling the shoulders down, pulling the belly in. Now lift both legs and hold it, and just move the top leg. Good, don't let that lower leg fall. Draw the navel in deeper. Now hold both legs together and lift it. Now just the lower leg moves. It falls, bring it back up. Lower and lift. Make those inner thighs work hard when you bring the legs together. Force air out of the lungs on the hard part. Bringing the leg up for one more, and then you can finally rest back down. Now flip onto your belly again, and we're gonna go into swan. We'll do baby swan and then work into the full swan. So this one, like every other time, we have just our elbows tucked by our side, palms are flat on the floor. You can hover the hands off the floor if you don't wanna risk cheating using the arms to help you get up, because we're only trying to use your back to lift the rib cage up and then resting back down. The legs get to stay long down onto the floor, so just keep the tops of the feet down. The legs do get to stay about mat width apart. That usually feels better in the low back, as opposed to doing this with the legs together. Draw the navel in deeper. We'll do one more lift up, but hold it if you can. Feel free to go back down sooner if you want. Keep your rib cage lifted, pull the belly in, Shrug your shoulders down out of the ears, and then you get a rest back down. Now the hands will stay on the floor because you're gonna lift the rib cage up again, just as you were doing before, but then the arms press into the floor as you come up for your swan. Remember that it is soft elbows and shoulders stay slid down. Lifting the rib cage and then coming up as far as that low back will let you extend. And resting. Always pulling the navel up away from the floor. Focus on a deep breath up high in the rib cage. You're gonna do one more. And then you get a rest all the way back down. Bring your hands down underneath your forehead for the neck support again. You're gonna bend both knees, squeeze the heels together, and lift both knees and drop. Lift and lower. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Still breathing. As you're lifting the legs, still pull the belly in so we're not pushing the abdomen down into the mat. Press the heels together, make the inner thighs work harder. Now lift and just hold. Really squeeze the heels together, lift a little bit higher, and then you can take a little break. So this one's a little tricky, it takes some coordination. You're gonna bring the legs a little bit closer together so your knees are more in line with your hips instead of knees really wide. You're gonna lay your head down onto the floor so your head is turned to the left or right side, either one, because we're gonna be alternating which side we lay down on our head. You're gonna bring your hands together behind the back. If this bothers the shoulders, you could just keep your hands down on the floor next to your side and lift up and reach like rocket arms instead of having them kind of clasped together behind your back. So what you're gonna do on this one is you're gonna bend the legs, kick, and then lift up and reach your hands to your feet as you lift up. And this lift, it's ribs and legs lifted, and then you're gonna bend your knees and turn your head to the opposite side. Do 2 kicks with the legs, and then lift up and reach. Now you want to keep those feet together as you kick, lift, and extend. Bend your knees, kick, lift, and extend. Take breaks if you need it. I know some got a little later start trying to figure out what we're doing, so I'll just keep going for a few more reps. Take breaks if you need it. Bend your legs twice, lift up and reach your hands back towards your feet. Remember, if this bothers you, to keep your hands together, you can keep them by your side, kick, and then just lift up and reach. Kick. This will be our last one, lift up and reach. And then when you're ready, you can rest back down. We got one more while you're on your belly. It's swimming. Remember, swimming, you could just take a break with the upper body and just do the legs. You could just do the arms if you want. But if you can, you're going to lift everything up and swim arms and legs. Pull the belly in. Your shoulders are shrugging down. Remember, taking that deep breath up high in the rib cage. We'll just do one long inhale and one long exhale. Lift everything a little higher. Reach longer limbs. And then you can finally rest back down. Pick up your hips and sit back into a little child's pose stretch. We are going to go into the thigh stretch next after this. So while you're in this little child's pose stretch, really think rounding your spine towards the ceiling. Now stand tall on your knees. Today I'm going to use the weights, the little weighted balls. You can use your hand weights, your water bottles, the ring, the ball, the band if you want. Arms are going to be straight out in front of you, squeezing something, holding something. If you want, you can just do this with hands by your side. Knees are right in line with your hips, your abs are tight and pulled in, and now hinge back from the knees and return right back up to vertical. Hinging back as far as those knees will let you. If this bothers the knees, you could always just stand tall or come down to seated to do a hinge from the hips instead of the knees. Inhale as you fall back. Exhale, pull forward. Still activate those inner thighs. Hopefully you're still breathing. Shoulders rolling down and back. Squeezing the glutes, pulling up on the pelvic floor. Do your last one. And then you can come right back up. Now we're going to stay up. You're going to turn your face towards the long edge of your mat so we can do our side kneeling kicks and then hopefully go into some side bends. So if you don't want to be on your knees, you can go ahead and do this sitting on the floor. You just be kind of sitting on your one side. I'm going to keep one ball just to make my arms work a little harder. So reach your arms out to the side. I'm tipping towards the free hand. So if you want, take a weight into your top hand. You could keep this hand behind your head. You could put the hand on your hip. I'm gonna reach it because I'm using the weight. Now the top leg is gonna go up and down. Roll the shoulders down and back, still breathing. This lower arm is strong, pushing the floor away through a flat palm. Try to lift that leg as high as you can. Exhaling on every lift. Pull the belly in deeper. Lift the leg and hold it up. Keep that leg at hip height if you can. You're gonna swing forward and back. Forward kick and back. As you kick that leg back, think squeezing the glutes. Pulling the belly in. Keep that top arm strong, reaching it to the ceiling. Remember, it's okay though if it's behind your head or hand on hip. We'll do 2 more kicks. After you center that leg, stay here in this position. Just lower the leg to the floor and then take that reaching arm overhead. And this is a little side bend stretch. Good. Stay facing the same direction. You're just going to come on down to your hip because it just transitions nicely into the full side bend. So you are going to keep that hand in the same spot at the top of your mat. Just cross your ankles so that your top leg is in front of the lower leg. I'm going to keep my weight in my hand, but you could do a free hand. Just make sure, I can tell Kevin, you want those ankles real close together instead of ankle way up by the knee. So keep them together. When you're ready, you're going to hopefully lift up to lengthen both legs and go into your side bend stretch. Remember, you can always modify this by keeping a knee on the floor. It would be the lower leg stays on the mat, top leg extends. Looks very similar to that last stretch you did in the kneeling leg kicks. Good. So that was 3. We'll try and get 4 in. And hopefully I'll remember to do 4 on the other side. And you get a rest down. Now we're going all up back to our knees. But if you stayed down onto the floor and didn't kneel, you could just swing the legs over to the other side. Stand tall on your knee. The weight goes to the other hand now because we're tipping over to the other side. Lower arm is strong, pushing the floor away. Lift and lower the top leg. Cinch that imaginary core a little tighter. Keep the top arm strong. Remember, you can always bring the hand to your hip or hand behind the head. Try to kick that leg as high as you can with each one. You're exhaling on the hard part. So exhale as you kick that leg up. Let's lift it up and hold it up, and then you're gonna swing forward and back, not letting your body sway. Keep that lower arm strong too, pushing the floor away. So we're only moving the hip of the top leg. We'll do 1 more forward kick. Last kick back, center the leg, and then we get a stretch. Take that reaching arm way overhead. When you're ready, come down to seated on your hip. Bring your ankles together at the bottom edge of the mat. The top leg is in front of the lower leg. And when you're ready, we're gonna lift up for our side bend. Remember, you can always modify this by keeping that lower knee on the floor. Try and keep those ankles real close together instead of really far apart. Obviously closer together, narrows the base, makes it a little bit harder on the balance. I did remember that we did 4 on the other side. So try to get our 4 in over here. Still breathing, not gripping into your neck. Shoulders are shrugging down. After you finish that last one, we are going to come to seated. So grab whatever prop you want to hold in your hands, the band, the ball, the ring. I'm going to do the weights. And we're going to sit tall with legs straight out in front of you. Arms are going to reach out there straight. Roll the shoulders down and back. Pull the belly in. With the legs straight, I don't know if you can tell, mine are about mat width apart. For spine stretch forward, your upper spine flexes forward, so you get that stretch in your thoracic spine, and then stack right back up. A lot of times when we round forward, we also hike those shoulders up. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your shoulders slid down even as you're stretching your upper spine forward, and then stacking back up. Hollow out the abdomen. Remember, those legs are still tight, strong, working legs. Feet are flexed, reaching out through the heels. Every time you stack your spine up to straight, try to go a little taller. Try to narrow the waistline a little more. Take a deeper breath. Exhale forward. We'll do 1 more. And then you can come right back up. Now we're going to do half roll backs. So bring the legs together and bend your knees. Feet are flat on the floor. On this one, you want to think about working the back of the legs, so you have that feeling of pressing the feet downward and you're pushing and trying to imprint your toes into the mat, making the calves work harder, hamstrings work harder. For the half roll back, simply you just roll back halfway and then pull forward. You could do a flat back version of this if you didn't want to do that lumbar flexion where you kind of roll through the pelvis and then stacking back up. Either one is fine. Squeeze the knees together, press the feet down to the floor, pull the belly in deeper the whole time, even as you come right back up to stack up straight. Good, we'll do one more, and then stack right back up. Let's add the rotation to it. So if you're reaching arms, you can reach one arm behind you, but as you fall, you rotate and twist. Come right back up, stack up the face front. Fall back and reach. Good. If you have that ring, squeeze it a little tighter. Keep pressing the feet down into the floor. Keep squeezing the knees together. Still breathing. Good. Let's get to one side and hold it. So fall back and stay there. Reach longer arms away from center. Press harder into that ring if you have it, or ball. Squeeze the knees together. You can come back up. We'll go to the other side and hold it. Fall back and stay there for a moment. Still breathing. Good. Hollowing out the abdomen. And then you come right back up and then relax. We're going to do rolling like a ball. And then we're going to do a little extension over our ball. If you don't have a ball or a roller, you could just use a small pillow or something too. But anyway, let's do rolling like a ball now. Scoot forward. Hands on your shins. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Bring your feet off the floor. When you're ready, you're gonna roll back to your shoulders and then come right back up to balance. Inhale as you roll back. Exhale up. Squeeze the knees together. Pulling the belly in. We'll do one more. Come right back up, and then you can finally rest and let the feet fall to the floor. So if you don't have a little ball, which is that playground ball size, or a roller, you can go grab a pillow if you want. What you're gonna do is lean back onto it so that it is right behind your low ribs, and you're gonna recline back onto it. You could put your hands behind your head, you could put your hands on the floor or whatever. Most of the time people need the support for their neck, so usually behind your head is the best. You're gonna start to fall backwards into an extension and take your spine back as far as it'll go. You could always reposition it too if you needed to. I bet that feels good too, Catherine, after that gardening, draping backwards over the pillow. Still breathe into the rib cage. When you're ready, you're gonna bring yourself right back up. Since we have something that we're extending over, you're just gonna hold it. So we're in flexion now, curled up over a ball or a pillow or roller, and we're gonna just do some crunches. Looks like crunches, really, don't follow, we're just flexion. You're gonna fall backwards into extension and then pull right back up. So we're going for a couple more repetitions. Arching back and then flexing forward. When you flex forward, try not to drop chin to your chest and rounding your neck, your cervical spine. As you come up, keep neck and neutral looking forward. Good. We'll do one more. Fall backwards into the extension and then pulling right back up. And when you're ready, you're going to come up and off of that. We're going to end up coming back onto our back again, so you can roll back down onto the floor. When you're on the floor, you're going to bring the legs up to tabletop position. Hands are going to be down by your side and glue the legs together. You could use the ball between the ankles if you wanted to. We're just going to work with parallel feet for this first set anyway. So squeeze the legs together. Both legs extend outward to straight and then right back in. And it seems simple to just lengthen the legs and bend them back in, but you really have to pay attention to the low back. You are trying to keep neutral, hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane. Both legs lengthen, both legs come back in. And maintaining neutral is a lot harder for those muscles in the lumbar spine, so it is a good exercise to do to help strengthen your back as well as your abdomen. Squeeze the inner thighs together, press the shoulders of the floor, pull the belly in deeper. We'll do one more and try to get those legs out and hold it. Hold those legs out there, pull the belly in, squeeze the inner thighs together, and then you can bend them back in. Very similar on the next movement, you just rotate, open up the hips. So your legs look like a diamond or a froggy squat. Press the heels together, and then lengthen both legs out to straight, and then right back in. Lengthening the legs, and then pulling in. And hopefully nothing is changing position in the lumbar spine or your pelvis. Hopefully your abdomen isn't pushing forward as the legs extend. So really think about drawing the navel in. The next time the legs reach out to straight, let's hold them straight and then do little beats where you tap the heels together. It's a quick open close motion, heels tapping together. Longer, straighter legs, reaching out through the toes, press the arms into the floor, and then you can bring the legs right back in. Draw the legs back together, so your knees are together and feet are in parallel. We're gonna do can-cans. So imagine your arms and your shoulders are glued to the floor. Tip your legs to one side, extend them to straight, bend, bring them over to the other side, extend them to straight, and bend them back in. Over to the other side. Hollow out the abdomen. Remember, shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Do one more on each side. After you finish that last set, bring the legs together. Give yourself a little break if you need it. The last one here is going to be the corkscrew. So another motion with their legs up in the air. So legs are long and straight. You could do pointed feet or flexed. Either one is fine. We'll start off easy and just draw a circle on the ceiling with your heels and then hold the feet back to center. And then draw that same circle in the opposite direction. Now you can just keep drawing circles like that. If you could work a little harder, we'll add the hip lift at the beginning of that circle. And it just feels like a much bigger circle on the ceiling. And then we do that same thing in the opposite direction. Now inhaling as you start, exhaling as you finish. And you feel yourself rolling to that low back. And if your hips are not lifting off the floor, it'll just feel smaller. So you're just hitting all 4 points of the sacrum and the low back. You can do one more circle in each direction. Still squeeze the legs together. Still press the shoulders of the floor. After you bring your legs back to center, give yourself a little break. Lengthen your legs down onto the floor and reach your arms way back overhead and stretch. We are going to work towards our teaser. So you have some options with your props. You can use your band and pull apart. You can use your ring and squish it or pull it apart. I'm going to use the weights because my focus today is in trying to get my arms a little stronger. So arms are straight to the ceiling. Legs are long and straight on the floor. We're going to alternate the leg lift. So only one leg will be lifting off the floor as your spine comes up. And it's fine if it's just head and shoulders that come up. But if you can, look into your belly. And then as the rest of your spine comes up, one leg lifts up. And then you're going to rest all the way down. We alternate the same thing on the other side. Exhale as you lift up, hold to the top for a breath, and then lower right back down to the floor. We're going to keep alternating, lift, and then lower. Good, exhale on the hard part. So you get up there, you hold at the top for a deep breath, and then lower back down. If you have that ball or ring, squeeze it a little tighter. Always reach long arms, long legs. So even up your set, hopefully your last one here is on the opposite side where we started. And then you lower right back down to the floor. That's gonna get a little harder. We're gonna work to tabletop. We'll do 3 tabletop, 3 full. So legs are at tabletop position. Your head and shoulders come up as your spine follows. Both legs extend straight. You hold for a deep breath, and then you roll right back to the tabletop position with head and shoulders down. You're gonna do that 2 more times. Exhale as you lift up, hold for a deep breath, squeezing the legs together, and then rolling all the way back down. You got 1 more. Exhale, lift. Hold for a deep breath at the top, and then you get to roll back down. Now it gets harder, so if you want to, you can kind of degress and go back to that first one that we were doing, or you could keep going to tabletop legs. If you could work harder, we're going to go back to straight legs on the floor, but both legs are glued together and they're not allowed to separate. That's the hardest version of our teaser here. So arms are straight to the ceiling, head and shoulders come up, and then lift everything off the floor, roll to the top for a deep breath, and then slowly roll back to your start position, whether you're doing a single leg or tabletop legs, or both legs glued together. Exhale to lift up, hold to the top for a deep breath, and then slowly resting back down. We got 1 more, but if you're alternating single legs, you might want to do 2 more. So you get some even sets. Reaching long arms, pull the belly in, and then you're gonna rest all the way back down to the floor. Now you can reach your arms way back overhead and just stretch through the abdomen, lifting the rib cage up. Good. We're gonna roll over to our side and then bring yourself up for mermaid. So for mermaid, ideally we sit in this Z sit. So if your hips or knees don't like this, you could sit with legs straight out or both legs crossed in style for more even position for your hips. But with the Z sit, if you can, we're gonna take one hand to the floor and stretch away from your feet. Then come back up and stretch over in the direction of your feet. Good. So as you're tipping your rib cage from side to side, our hips are not moving from their start position. We're just bending our spine, getting that lateral flexion, shoulders shrug down. Now our fourth mermaid, we're gonna hold it. So fall over and stay there, and then twist, look at the floor, twist back to face front, and then come all the way back up and stretch. Now we're gonna swing the legs to the other side, so we can do the same thing on the other side. When you're ready, hand is on the floor, fall over and stretch, and then come back up and stretch into the legs. Falling over. Hopefully you're still focused on a deep breath up high in the rib cage. Keeping the sit bones close to the floor as you're stretching. Try not to grip into your neck. Now the fourth one, we fall over, you hold the stretch, shoulders are still slid down, turn to face towards the floor, twist back to face front, and then you can come up and stretch. Good, now we're gonna sit on the floor with both legs straight out in front of you, and we're gonna have legs together. You do want your heels on your mat. If you're on a hard surface, this kind of hurts your heels, at least mine maybe. But hands are on the floor and hands are behind your hips. They're not directly next to your hips, so bring them back there behind you. Point your feet, and then we're gonna try to lift the hips up. Lifting the hips up is optional. You could always just keep them on the floor. You do want to keep your neck in neutral, so you're looking at the ceiling. You could just stay here and hold this, but if you can, you're gonna add the leg lift. If this ever bothers the knees, you gotta make those quads work harder, so you can always have a little bend in the knees. Try to keep the hips up. Lift the leg as high as you can, kicking to the ceiling. Exhale on the hard part too. Just do one more kick on each leg, or hopefully you feel evened up. And then when you're ready to rest your hips, fold forward into straight legs and just stretch. We're gonna do an inner thigh stretch next. So bend your knees wide, soles of the feet together, and lean into your legs. So we're gonna do leg pull front on the next one, very similar to the last one. Just come up onto your hands and knees and move right into a plank position. You could do this on your elbows if you don't want the pressure on your wrist. You could also keep your knees on the floor to modify this. Be aware of your neck. You don't want to sink face to the floor, and you don't want to sink chin to your chest. So you want that feeling of reaching back of your head to the ceiling behind you, and then alternate the single leg lift. Lift and lower. Pull the belly in, push the floor away through really strong arms. You should feel the upper back spreading apart. Use your breath too to help you get through it. Squeeze your glutes as you lift the leg. You can do your last lift on each side. Now don't let the knees rest if you can help it, because you're gonna walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands and pull yourself into your straight legs. Tighten your abs, pull the belly in, soften your knees, and bring yourself up to standing. We're gonna go into our push-ups here. So we're gonna go out, do a set of push-ups, come back up to standing to finish with some calf raises and stretches. So arms to the ceiling, round all the way down, walk your hands out to the top of the mat. Pull your belly in. I almost said pull yourself in. And try to go for 6 push-ups. Feel free to do more if you want. Bend on the inhale, exhale as you push the floor away. Remember, keep the neck in neutral. Don't look into the belly. Don't sink your face to the floor. After that last push-up, walk your hands to your feet and pull yourself into the stretch. Hollow out the abdomen, and then come all the way back up to standing. When you're standing, your feet are parallel, and we're gonna go into some calf raises. So lift the heels and lower, but each time you lower the heels, don't let them completely rest on the floor. just before they rest you. Lift them back up. Hopefully you're still working your upper back, pulling the shoulder blades together, pulling the belly in. Do 2 more lifts in parallel feet, and then we're going to do the same calf raises with the turnout. So V-shape with the feet, heels together, lift and lower. Always think pulling up on the pelvic floor. Focus on that breath up high in the ribcage. Hopefully your abs will stay tight and pulled in for the rest of the day today. Do your last 2 calf raises. And when you rest your feet down, turn your feet back to parallel. 1 foot goes forward, 1 foot stays back. Keep the legs straight and just hinge forward with a flat back. Lean into it. And if you can challenge your balance, flex the front foot. Shoulders are still shrugging down. And we're going to keep the feet kind of in this position. You just get to rest that front foot if it was flexed. You're going to sink into what looks like a lunge. So you can lift the rib cage up, but hopefully you feel a deeper stretch to the front side of the back leg. Lift the rib cage, try to grow taller. Bring into the same stretch on the other side. So switching the forward leg, taking it back. Straight legs first, straight spine, and hinge forward. Still breathing, shoulders are shrugging down. Good, flex that front foot if you can challenge your balance. Try to keep both legs long and straight. Rest that front foot if it was flexed, and then just bend the front leg so we move into more of a lunge. Try to go long, straight, vertical through your spine, pull the belly in. See, for me, I feel more of a calf stretch than anything. Usually I get feedback on this, but since your microphones are muted, I feel nothing or hear nothing. So you could stand or you could sit, whatever you feel better. I'm sitting because it brings me close to the computer. Just shrug your shoulders up and down. Shoulders up on the inhale, down on the exhale. Pull your shoulders down out of the ears, keep them down. Keep your abs tight and pulled in. And after that, you guys are all done.